And then I'll say new geometry equals this mesh. This will be the non-local. So I'll replace this variable with the new mesh I created. And then the original mesh, it's going to be continually checking this variable. This should be new mesh, not new geometry. And if it finds one, then it's going to replace that one in the scene. Okay, so make sure I don't have any syntax errors. That's great. This will crash. Or do nothing. Which I think it's even better that it did nothing instead of crashing. It's the not Manim. This is not Manim. That is an apt way to describe this. So this, the mesh. Okay, when I add the mesh, let me take this out of the function. This needs an updater. Listen for replacement. And so each frame, this mesh is going to check if there's a new mesh, and if there is, what does it do? It does self dot remove mesh. It removes itself. And then itself that adds the new mesh. And then it sets new mesh to none. And this is the non-local. So between all these, what should happen is this mesh is added to the scene with an updater so that anytime this variable is updated, it'll replace itself with this new mesh. Then when this callback is called, there'll be a request to three.js to get new geometry data, create a new mesh, which needs this updater. And it'll put this one in this variable. And I think this is a kosher way to switch. I guess that kind of worked. Why did this one look so blurry? Oh, I see why. So one thing, I didn't add the rotation. Let's add the rotation updater. Okay, that made it crash. Why would that happen? Why would that make it crash? Rotate mesh. The same function just being called on a different mesh? Well, it's definitely causing the crash. Let me comment this. I think what I might end up doing, and this way it works perfectly, it just won't rotate. And I guess it doesn't have the lights updating anymore, which is also weird. Although the lights, I think, makes sense. Since the light updater is updating the lights on a specific mesh, not the one that's getting replaced in. What I might do with the rotation thing, I think I'll just define a new function. like so. Okay, like so. Okay, this one. This function shouldn't have any closure around data which is used by the renderer. Oh, that might be that might have been the problem. It's using this light position. Why does it even need this? Oh. It's taking that light position, then it's passing that to the shader, to the material. Oh, this could actually be kind of complicated. I'm actually kind of wondering why this ever worked. These are copying the same material shader. This. They're both using the exact same one. So I guess when rotate mesh gets called on this other mesh, yeah, that's updating that shader outside of the render loop. So I guess I can't do this here. But I think I can do it here. Or where's it? Where's the place where it's replaced? Here. So I'll take this out. Cannot access member, add updater for type none. Yeah, that'll be fine. Oh wait, no it won't. To do that, like, remove here, I think. Okay, I don't think this will work. Dang. I guess it didn't crash. No, it did crash. Kind of badly, actually. Life's hard. Come on. Yeah, okay. Well, rip that window. Well, that sucked. I wonder if there's a better way to switch these out. It'd be much easier if I at least had a way to determine where the shared data was being written. Where's the... Here. I think the first thing that would be more helpful would be to organize this material. The shader data making up the material. So let me actually... I'm gonna undo a bunch of this. Oh, I can't undo because Vim crashed. Let's see, I'll still want to request this geometry data. Still want to fill out the attributes. I'm just going to comment this. And that should prevent it from doing anything. And this listen for replacement I don't need either. Alright, so this should just show the geometry. If I take out this non-local. There's probably another non-local somewhere. Take this out. Okay. So I won't be able to switch the geometry, but at least this responds to light and stuff. Okay, with that, I'm gonna try to make this Fong material. I'm gonna try to make that into a class or something. Something more organized than just these free variables. I'm gonna try to make that into a class or something. Something more organized than just these free variables. And that'll make it a lot easier to work with. So first thing, bring in another geometry. A more interesting geometry. Okay. And from here, I'm going to want to make a class. Where should I even put this? Manim. Where's shaders? Is it render shaders? I do material.py. I think this will make sense. Although all the materials will probably be taken from three.js. I don't think this needs to inherit from anything. Now what I want to do is encapsulate all of the data from the shader into this material code instead. So the material shader, it's just a shader. I think I should make this inherit from shader. If I import, I do like from shader, import shader. I think is what it is from here. Ooh, I was having a hard time with this newly created file. Try that again. Better? Okay. Is it from dot import shader? Yeah, because the file was Manim render shader. So that should work. And then I'm gonna try to just instantiate this. Oh, I guess I have to import it first. And I should add it to the manim.opengl import. So here, import it there. So then it should already be imported. And I should be able to do material just equals this. It didn't work though. Probably because I think it makes sense that that would crash. I don't think I can redo imports. Let me try running this again. Still something wrong with imports. Can I import the name shader from manim.renderer? Is it .shader? I should probably learn Python one day. But anyway, that worked. And now I want to pass pretty much all of the data. I don't know if I want to make another subclass called Fong material. I think this would be more convenient. Because this way I could just pass in the parameters I want. And the rest would be would be done automatically. So I think here's what I'll do. The shader, it's going to take in the vertex shader and the fragment shader. And it'll just do this into context, I guess. And it'll just do this into context, I guess. I'll just do this. So it'll create that material shader. Vertex shader, this. Fragment shader, that. And I can do this by passing all of these. Okay. I'll call this self.shader. Should I call it material shader? Maybe I'll call it just shader. Then everywhere here where material shader is used, I'll take the one from the material I just made. This should just be material.shader. Is this the same class? That's a different class. Might as well replace that one. And this one, yeah. Okay, I think that's all of them. Okay, so that still runs, which is great. And I think that's all I need from the material class. What I want to do next is not use this just as material, but instead use fog material, and this will take in a context. But it still needs that vertex shader source, doesn't it? I guess I have actually... I have saved the fog material source to a folder. Basically this. But do I want to save that to the source code instead of requesting it from three.js? Probably not. I'd probably rather just have that be fetched from three.js. So I'll take the context, still take the vertex shader, fragment shader. Then I'll take this config. Then I can do super. Is this what you do? Context, vertex shader. Like this. And then here I'll set variables from the config. So now, use a fog material here. Run this. Nope, something went wrong. Oh, and I'll just pass no config. Cool. Can you call the superclass like this? Guess not. Okay, but that's fine. Now... So things like the model view matrix and the projection matrix and the view matrix, those will come from a mobject rather than any configuration. So how can I do that? So how can I do that? I think what I'll have to do... Actually, for now, I'm just not going to worry about that. For now, I'm just going to do that out here. But the normal matrix, I think I always want this to be the same. Yeah, I don't know when I'd ever change that. So just say self.shader.set, set this here, is orthographic. That actually comes from the camera. So there's gonna have to be a step where it reads this data from the material, from the object and the camera. But I won't worry about that right now. And then diffuse, I'll set that here. Emissive, specular, shininess, opacity. I guess that makes sense to put on the material. Kind of. Actually, does it? Like, usually in Manim, the opacity is a property of the mobject. I guess with meshes, they don't have to be the same as mobjects, though. Yeah, I'm gonna do it in the material. Ambient color. Yeah. No, the ambient color definitely comes from the environment. Yeah, see if this still works. Guess I did something wrong. I think I went too fast. Let me go back. Won't do this. Right, here I have my shape. Now let me set the normal matrix. I won't do that here. I'll do that here. Okay. Did that alone break it? Nope, just something that can't reload properly. That's fine. Is orthographic. Oh, that comes from the environment, so I won't worry about that. Diffusive. Or diffuse. Great. Emissive, specular, and shininess. Great. Opacity. Also great. The ambient color, I think that should come from the environment. Maybe not. Ambient color. I think the way that this works, coming from three.js, there's an ambient light. And you add the ambient light to the scene, not to a material. So that I'm gonna take from the environment. Yeah. The light probe as well comes from the environment. And the position of the lights does, or should. Okay, so then I still have this. But a lot of it is encapsulated into this material, this fog material. Okay. Maybe I should create a geometry class as well to encapsulate some of the geometry logic. The main problem with this is that it's just, the code is so disorganized. So I think that would help. The code is so disorganized. So I think that would help to organize this into a geometry. It would also give me a chance to load in this data prior to rendering. Okay, so that was material.py. Let me bust out geometry.py. Also, this probably shouldn't go here. This isn't really related to the renderer. Just start here. And the geometry will basically have this. So what will I want this to take? Just a geometry object? What even is this? Positions and normals? Yeah, I think that's fine. I'll just have it take positions and normals. And indices. And then basically just do this. Position, normal. I'll call it index. Yeah, I'll call it index. This is self.attributes. All of this will be self. Actually. Okay. Okay, cool. Let me close that and reopen it. There's two geometries.py. Geometry.py, which maybe isn't that great. Okay, so now I'm gonna replace this code by just passing in a geometry. Geometry? Geometry response dot position. Dot normal. Index. Great. And then whenever I'm creating the mesh, I'll take the geometry dot attributes and the geometry dot indices dot. So I call this index. I'll call it index here. I guess normal isn't called normals and position isn't called positions. So I guess index would be the most consistent. Okay, bring this in. Shouldn't have to do this anymore. All right, and that still works. And it's much more organized. So I won't need this here anymore. Okay. So then the question is, where should I read in this data from the environment? I actually won't. I'll try not to worry about that right now. And just leave this here as is.